Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining today's briefing. Today, we're going to walk through one of the most important infrastructure decisions many organizations are facing right now: how to respond to the dramatic changes in VMware licensing under Broadcom, and how AWS has built a purpose-designed, AI-powered solution to help you eliminate those costs entirely. This isn't just a migration story. It's about using Agentic AI to fundamentally transform how your workloads run, moving from expensive, vendor-locked VMware environments to high-performance, cloud-native infrastructure on AWS. Let's get started. Slide 2. The Broadcom VMware licensing crisis. Let's set the stage with why this conversation is so urgent. Since Broadcom completed its acquisition of VMware in late 2023, customers have reported cost increases ranging from 150% all the way up to 1,200%. AT&T alone reportedly faced a proposal exceeding a 1,000% increase. These aren't outliers. They reflect a fundamental shift in Broadcom's business model. Here are the key changes driving this. First, perpetual licenses are gone. You now pay subscription fees every year or you lose access. Second, there's a new 72-core minimum per product, up from 16. So if you're running a server with just 8 cores, you still pay for 72. That's massive forced over-provisioning. Third, there's a 20% penalty if you miss your renewal date. And finally, Broadcom gutted the partner ecosystem, from over 4,500 authorized providers down to roughly 300. The bottom line is clear. Staying on VMware under the current model means accepting significant ongoing cost increases with no additional value. Organizations need a strategic exit plan. Slide 3. The solution: AWS Transform for VMware. This is where AWS Transform for VMware comes in. It became generally available in May 2025, and it represents a fundamentally different approach to migration. There are 3 things that make this solution unique. First, it's powered by Agentic AI. This isn't a simple migration tool. It deploys specialized AI agents that automate the heavy lifting: discovery, dependency mapping, wave planning, and network conversion. Tasks that used to take your team months of manual effort now happen in days. Second, it eliminates your VMware license entirely. This is the critical point. AWS Transform doesn't just move your VM to another VMware environment in the cloud. It converts your workloads to run natively on AWS Nitro system as EC2 instances. Once that conversion is complete, there is no VMware license. It's gone forever. You only pay for AWS infrastructure. And the network conversion speed is extraordinary. It can translate your VMware network configurations, VLANs, port groups, all of it, into AWS native VPCs, subnets, and security groups up to 80 times faster than manual methods. Slide 4. The Agentic AI Transformation Pipeline. Let me walk you through exactly how the transformation process works. There are 5 key stages. Stage 1 is discovery. The AI agents scan your entire VMware environment, every VM, every dependency, every network configuration. You can use the AWS Discovery Collector, deploy it through vCenter, or even import from RV tools if you already have that data. Stage 2 is analysis. This is where graph neural networks come in. They map all your application dependencies and build intelligent transformation plans that understand the relationships between your workloads. Stage 3 is wave planning. Using machine learning, the system groups your workloads into optimized migration waves. It sequences them by dependencies so you're not accidentally cutting over an application before the database it depends on is ready. Stage 4 is network conversion. This is often the biggest bottleneck in traditional migrations. AWS Transform automatically generates CloudFormation templates that recreate your on-premises network topology in AWS, hub and spoke or isolated models, in minutes rather than months. And Stage 5 is the actual migration and replatforming. AWS Application Migration Service replicates your servers to EC2, and the workloads are converted to run natively on Nitro. At this point, the VMware dependency is completely eliminated. Slide 5. What makes AWS Transform different? Let's dig deeper into why the agentic AI approach matters, because this is what truly sets AWS Transform apart from traditional migration tools. The autonomous discovery agents can catalog your entire VMware estate with minimal human intervention. They don't just list VMs, they map the complex web of dependencies between applications, databases, and network configurations. The graph neural networks are particularly powerful. These aren't simple rule-based tools. They analyze application relationships at a mathematical level to create wave plans that a human team would take weeks to produce. The natural language interface is another differentiator. Your teams can interact with AWS Transform through conversational workflows, specify your goals, ask questions, get customized plans all through an intuitive chat experience. This dramatically lowers the skill barrier for complex migrations. And critically, there are human-in-the-loop controls throughout. Every artifact, every plan, every configuration is validated before execution. You maintain full oversight and governance. Look at the numbers on the right. AWS reports 810,000 hours of manual effort saved. That's equivalent to 388 developer years of work. And in the IBM case study with a major UK public sector department, they achieved a 60% reduction in migration effort for automated tasks. They migrated legacy Windows Server 2008 virtual machines from
Slide 6, Migration Path Options at a Glance. Now, AWS Transform isn't the only option for dealing with VMware workloads on AWS, but it is the only one that completely eliminates the license fee. Let me walk you through the comparison. Option 1, VMware Cloud on AWS, or VMC. This keeps your VMware tools and environment, but it runs on AWS infrastructure. The catch? You still pay VMware licensing fees, now routed through Broadcom or AWS. This is essentially a short-term continuity play. You get cloud benefits, but you haven't solved the licensing problem. Option 2, AWS Transform for VMware. This is the re-platforming approach. Your VMs are converted to native EC2 instances running on the Nitro system. There's no VMware license involved, period. This is the path for organizations that want to permanently eliminate that cost center and modernize at the same time. Option 3, Amazon Elastic VMware Service, or EVS. This is a managed hybrid approach where VMware Cloud Foundation runs on AWS infrastructure. You still have a VMware fee, but it's restructured and bundled differently. This works for organizations that need a gradual transition period. The key takeaway, and this is highlighted at the bottom, is that AWS Transform is the only option that fully eliminates VMware licensing costs. If cost elimination is your primary goal, this is the path. Slide 7. Slide 7, AWS Migration Ecosystem Glossary. Before we go further, let me quickly define some terms you'll encounter in these conversations because they come up frequently in technical and business discussions. AWS MGN, the Application Migration Service, is the underlying replication engine. It's what physically moves your server data from on-premises to EC2. AWS Transform orchestrates MGN as part of its pipeline. OLA, the Optimization and Licensing Assessment, is a free service from AWS. It scans your VMware environment and builds a detailed business case, showing you exactly how much cheaper running on native EC2 would be compared to your current VMware licensing costs. If you haven't done an OLA yet, that should be your first step. VMA credits, VMware Acceleration Credits, are financial incentives that AWS provides to help offset the cost of your transformation. Think of these as AWS putting money on the table to accelerate your move away from VMware. The Nitro system is the hardware foundation that makes all of this work. It offloads virtualization to dedicated hardware, which means your workloads often perform better on Nitro than they did on the original VMware host. Rehosting, or lift and shift, is the general strategy of moving a VM to EC2 with minimal changes. And MAP, the Migration Acceleration Program, provides tools, frameworks, and resources recently expanded specifically for VMware workloads. Slide 8. Why the Nitro system makes it worth it. This slide gets at a question I hear a lot. If I'm leaving VMware, what am I getting in return? The answer is the AWS Nitro system, and it's a meaningful upgrade, not just a lateral move. On the left, you see what VMware gives you, a software-based hypervisor that consumes CPU cycles for virtualization overhead, Broadcom license fees on every single core, vendor lock-in with costs that are only going up, and limited access to cloud-native services. On the right, the Nitro system is fundamentally different. Virtualization is offloaded to dedicated hardware, custom silicon designed by AWS. The result is near bare metal performance. Your applications get more of the CPU, memory, and I/O they're paying for. And here's the financial picture. Zero VMware license fees. You pay only AWS pay-as-you-go pricing. Plus, once you're running on native EC2, you have full access to over 200 AWS services, including AI and machine learning, analytics, serverless, and more. So the transformation isn't just about saving money on licenses, though that alone can be enormous. It's about moving to a platform where your workloads run faster, cost less, and have access to an innovation ecosystem that VMware simply cannot match. Slide 9. Enterprise success stories and security. Let's look at real-world results because these prove the model works at enterprise scale. CSL, a global biotech company, used AWS Transform to accelerate their application discovery and wave planning by more than 10 times. This allowed them to meet aggressive data center exit timelines, eliminate technical debt, and deliver more efficient services. IBM Consulting, working with a major UK public sector department, achieved a 60% reduction in migration effort for automated tasks. They migrated legacy Windows Server 2008 virtual machines from VMware Cloud on AWS to native EC2, maintaining full application functionality and security throughout. Now, on security, which is always the first question in these discussions, AWS Transform has comprehensive protections built in. All communications use TLS 1.2 or higher. Data at rest is encrypted with AWS KMS, with the option to use your own customer-managed keys. Access is controlled through AWS IAM Identity Center with granular permissions, and every migration artifact goes through human-in-the-loop validation before anything is executed. Network isolation, VPC-level security groups, and configurable compliance guardrails round out the governance model. This isn't a tool that operates unsupervised. It's designed for enterprises with strict security and compliance requirements. Slide 10. Your path to license freedom. So what should you do next? Here's the recommended path forward. 4 concrete steps. Step 1. Request a free OLA assessment. This is the single most important first move. AWS will scan your VMware environment and produce a data-driven business case showing exactly how much you'd save by migrating to native EC2. This gives you the numbers you need for executive buy-in. Step 2. Explore VMA acceleration credits. AWS is actively investing in helping customers move away from VMware. These credits can significantly offset your transformation costs and accelerate your timeline. Step 3. Launch a pilot with AWS Transform. Pick a non-critical workload, something that lets you validate the entire pipeline: discovery, wave planning, network conversion, and cutover. See the Agentic AI in action with your own infrastructure. Step 4. Scale with wave planning. Once you've validated the approach, use the AI-driven wave planning to migrate hundreds of applications in parallel with full dependency-aware sequencing to minimize disruption. The URL at the bottom is aws.amazon.com/transform/VMware is your starting point for all of this. Thank you for your time today. I'm happy to take questions, and I strongly recommend getting that OLA assessment started this quarter. The sooner you understand your cost exposure, the sooner you can act. The VMware licensing landscape is only getting more expensive, and the tools to escape it have never